The Maruts, or a band of storm gods, young warriors who went into battle alongside Indra, king of the Vedic gods. Maruts can be described as Indra's special forces, elite fighters who ride across the sky in golden chariots pulled by horses or sometimes spotted deer. They're armed with golden swords and lightning spears, and they're fitted with golden scale armor and helmets. Their skin is described as being golden, radiant, and luminous, and they adorn themselves with magnificent bling, gold chains, rings, bracelets, and glittering ornaments. In Rig Veda, the Maruts are praised as bulls, giants of the sky who are self-yoked, bold, and blameless, a valorous company of manly heroes. In this video, I'm going to talk more about the Maruts, the Vedic gods of the monsoon rains, and explain why I believe that they are relevant and inspiring myths for men today. The Maruts are described in the Rig Veda as the sons of Rudra, a mysterious god whose name may mean the roaring one, though there is still substantial debate about the meaning of his name. It can also mean the red one. Rudra is described as being strong, ferocious, and wielding thunder, though perhaps just as often as a god of wisdom, healing, and medicine. Some have compared Rudra to the Norse god Odin, who is associated with the mythological motif of the wild hunt, a ghostly band of warriors galloping across the sky to do battle with unseen forces. Some have also been quick to compare the Maruts to wild, ghostly gods and warriors associated with frenzy and initiation, like the berserkers in the Germanic lore, and more broadly, the idea of the Kóryos and the Barbarian, which are both topics in comparative mythological studies. The Kóryos is a wild, unmarried brotherhood of young men who live outside the boundaries of their own society. Sometimes they terrorize its enemies, or perhaps they simply defend that society from outside attack. The Kóryos are often associated with animals, wildness, or the dead. And their time in the wild is believed to be an initiatory experience that solidifies a warrior camaraderie among the men of that society before they settle down, take wives, and raise families. It is important to note that while there are historical and even modern anecdotes to support the idea of a Kóryos, it should be viewed as a theory, theme, or concept, rather than a historical fact. A major source for the idea of the Kóryos is Chris Kershaw's The One-Eyed God, which is interesting, and there's a lot of information here that's worth digging through, but it's also kind of a rambling PhD dissertation published in book form, and it shouldn't be read uncritically. This statement, for instance: the poets of the Rig Veda, who disliked the ghostly dark side of their gods, emphasized the Indra side of the Maruts, turning them into sparkling weather spirits, just as these poets pushed the Maruts' natural father, Rudra, as much as possible into the background. Now, that sounds like someone imposing their own viewpoint and aesthetic on primary source material. Kershaw makes a lot of big leaps between historical footnotes and anecdotes, much like the work of George Dumazil. I mention this because the idea of the Kóryos has been popularized to the point in some circles where I've read and seen people talk about it as if it is a well-attested fact that a group by the name of Kóryos actually existed. None of that is actually settled or known, it's just a theory that seems reasonable. Now, yes, there is some overlap between the story of the Maruts and the concept of the Kóryos, but there are notable differences as well. Distinctively, the Maruts are described as being beautiful, luminous, and radiant. They wear gold chains and rings and bracelets and glittering ornaments. Rather than being depicted in austere, primitive garments or wearing the skins of animals, they are praised as flamboyant warriors who advertise their wealth and prosperity, almost as if they are already marching in a Roman-style triumph. The hymns of the Rig Veda describe the Maruts as being beautiful and terrible. But this makes sense for a warrior band, impressive when they're at your side, and terrifying when they are set upon you. What I find most compelling about the Maruts is the language used to describe them in Rig Veda. Of course, I'm reading an English translation of the Rig Veda, but I've looked at some of the roots and some of the other translations, and the spirit of the language used to describe the Maruts is what really shines through. In fact, I was so impressed and inspired by the way that the Maruts were described that a couple of years ago, I went through the entire Rig Veda and made a list of all of the words and phrases used to describe them. These descriptors have a lot to say about the way men idealize their gangs and their warrior bands and their military groups. Many of the descriptors also reveal a set of values and a purity of intent that I think gets lost in a lot of the grizzled Spartan talk about warriors, with the exception perhaps of maybe the medieval romances about knights in shining armor. The Maruts are the knights in shining armor of Vedic religion. The Maruts have been described as being born together, none the eldest, none the youngest. They are a company of peers. According to one passage, there are 49 of them. The Maruts are also described as, I think, any group of warriors would want to be described. Strong, mighty, manly, all surpassing in might and vigor, devourers of their foes. Fiercely vigorous, impetuous, unwearied, doers of mighty deeds, and bold-spirited. The Rig Veda also says that they rush on in joy and ever roar for vigor. The Maruts are said to be singers and loud roarers, urging the thunderbolt. But they are also wrathful and haters of those who serve you not. The Maruts are compared to bulls, bears, hawks, and falcons. It is said that the Maruts are in the sky, or that they reside on lofty mountains. They are known as rainmakers and water bringers, so that they are also associated with growth and fertility. The Maruts are described as being full of wisdom, sage, and hearers of the truth. They are renowned for their blameless glory, and it is said that none suspect them of sin. The Maruts are also known for being honest. In numerous passages, the Maruts are described as being guileless. Now, I checked with my Sanskrit guy, Ed, and the word used is adruha, meaning deceitless or free from malice or treachery, benevolent. Now, this is the opposite of druha, meaning an injurer or to bear hatred or seek to hurt. So, to the poets and presumably to the people of the Vedic age, the Maruts represented the ultimate form of the good band of warriors. The men who do and say the right things. The men who are on our side. If you're interested and you want to learn more about the Maruts and read some of the ancient Vedic hymns dedicated to this band of mighty storm gods, I encourage you to get a copy of the Rig Veda. There are several good translations, but I usually start with this Griffith translation. It has bigger text and it's just more enjoyable to read that way. I'm Jack Donovan and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. If you're interested in learning more about the Order of Fire and solar idealism, we have an introduction to solar idealism video right here on this channel. If you like that, check out our site at orderoffire.com and read my book about ancient masculine archetypes in the modern age. It's titled Fire in the Dark. You can also sign up for our mailing list to get access to our Telegram group, the Greater Mandala, or apply to join our exclusive fraternal organization, the First Men. Until next time, stay solar.